Hey everyone, so this is LIB Mexico, episodes 5 and 6, titled Living Together and an Explosive Return. So, everyone, before they go back to Mexico City, Saul is feeling like he's at his limit. Letty's feeling misunderstood. And so I'm just like, if these two don't freaking talk already, because this is ridiculous. They're completely missing each other, and I, I'm starting to see more Soul's side, but I'm still seeing hers too. So I'm just like, if they don't talk and just get this over with, I'm gonna have to have to start talking to with them because at this point, this is ridiculous. Um, Francesca wonders if it worries Willie of how sure she is, and he's like, "Well, no, I love you. I love how sure you are, and the only thing I feel guilty about is the fact that I am not as sure as you are." Um, Back in their room, Liddy is feeling a little pressure to make it work, and I'm just sitting like thinking to myself, there is a literal ocean between her and Soul on that bed. Hey, you know what? Let me just get them out the way because if you watch the show, um, or if you don't, you'll hear me say it. Um, they end up parting ways once they get back to Mexico City. Um, but um, and so I was thinking like, I may not like him or have liked him much from the beginning, but you know, people are not gonna wait around forever. Because if he's feeling like um, if he's feeling like he's not getting what he feels he needs, then he's not gonna wait around forever. Now, a mature person would just leave. So I'm hoping that he's not the immature type and does something that he cannot take back. But like I said, they end up parting ways eventually anyway. So that was for the best because sorry about that. Um, but that's probably for the best that they end up parting ways anyway. But um, I'm before getting to that part, I was thinking, um, they need to sit down with like a therapist or a mediator of some kind because I personally understand where each one is coming from, but when they meet up together and talk to each other, they are missing each other by a lot and they're not able to resolve a damn thing. So, the night before they are to leave for Mexico City, she ends up getting up in the middle of the night and leaving the bed, which I don't think was the best thing to do, but you know, um, I guess for her at that moment, that's what she felt like she needed to do. It still doesn't really seem all that great to do because in the morning she's still not there. So the next morning, Letty is explaining um, what she saw of Saul the night before wasn't what she liked. She explains that she felt like she wasn't being listened to, like she was trying to listen to him. Um, he says that he wants affection and to give affection, um, which is not necessarily wrong. It's that where I think things take a left is that they're not explaining things properly to each other, and then of course it results in both feeling hurt, um, because they're I think Letty's more in her head than he is, but um, they both end up getting into their heads, and they don't necessarily explain things right, unfortunately. Um, because it seems like they can express themselves fine in like solo confessionals, to be quite honest, but it's just that when they get to each other, they somehow mess things up when how they say stuff. Um, and I don't think he's wrong for wanting a physical touch if that's what reassures him. Um, I just think that what they needed to do was they needed to figure out how much physical touch she is comfortable with doing, and doing in private, because maybe some of it is that she doesn't like doing physical touch on camera. um, and so like when they're not on camera or away from like the camera crew, they can she can give him something that she's comfortable with, and then that way he will feel reassured. um, so um, she explains that she felt overstimulated and wasn't able to think really, even though she knew he felt rejected. It's just that she felt empty, and she didn't feel like she could give any more than what she had already given. Um, and he's like, well, I never experienced someone who thinks differently like you do. And he is realizing he can't expect the same thing from her he would like for her to do. Um, and she's like, well, I don't know if this can work because I feel rather hurt still. And he wants to try to just make it work. So she's like, well, um, even though I'm still angry, I'm gonna try to make a decision, not out of a place of hurt or anger. So they eventually do get back to Mexico City, and she's like, "Well, you called me cold," and he's like, "Wait, I said that about you," um, and he didn't mean to come off as controlling, so he apologizes for coming off that way. And I don't know. I was feeling like he was maybe overly apologizing, um, and she wasn't necessarily saying, well, anything that she may have done, like, I mm, didn't realize that I was maybe not giving you enough of what you want, and explaining why she hasn't. So I don't know. Because, I mean, as much as I don't like him, that's what I was thinking. And I was like, the over apologizing really didn't kind of sit right with me personally. But either way, they end up parting ways. So everyone else then goes back to Mexico City as well, and to the shared apartment that the show got for them. Now, please tell me why these people have luggage on the bed. Please tell me why, because that don't make no sense. That does not make any sense at all as to why there is luggage on the bed. Um, Irais is meeting with Renee to see if she feels any differently. Um, he is like, well, I did feel hurt about how things went down. She's like, well, I still have your ring on, and I'm gonna try to see if we can make it work. And he's like, well, yes, why don't we? So, you know what? I don't, I can't even muster up to say if he likes it, I love it, because she did not want this man. She did not want this man when she saw him. And she didn't want him even before she saw him. She wanted Fernando, and he turned her down. So I'm wondering what exactly. There's something that someone says later on that I will agree with, but anyways, I'm just I just don't want to hear nothing about how um, she doesn't actually want him again later on down the road, because that's just gonna piss me off. So Fernando is wondering about what Karen will do with her daughter Emmy. And she's like, well, I'm going to just make a phone call first, then a video call. And if they both wish to meet each other, she will introduce them. Um, and she is worried about whether or not he's ready for a relationship or a marriage with her. Um, Fernanda brings Gerardo to meet her mom, um, and her mom is worried because Fernanda is very emotional and expressive. Fernanda, um, then leaves to walk her dog and let her mom and him talk. Um, and she expresses that she didn't know anything about this, but um, is rightfully concerned as any parent would be. Um, Gerardo says that he feels like because they come from similar backgrounds, he thinks that they'll make a good team and be able to work things out. Um, Willie is then shown saying that he isn't sure how his mother will act since it's impossible to predict how she will. So I don't know how I feel about that, because now I'm worried, because this is not the first time he said this. I believe he may have said this on the honeymoon, and then I'm pretty sure he says this later on too, in episode 6, and it's just now I'm worried, because is she gonna be like, well, I'm not gonna give you my blessing to get married because I'm pretty conservative, or is she gonna blow up? And I'm just worried about how this interaction is gonna go, because if you're saying this multiple times, yeah, I'm not having faith that she's gonna give her blessing at all. Um, Chema then meets Sylvia's mom, uh, Sylvia Senior. Um, he asks her mom for hand in marriage, and she says yes. Um, and he, reveals to her Sylvia's mom that he has a daughter, and it seems like Sylvia's mom likes Chema, and I guess that's not that's not unexpected, because he seems like a charmer in a way. But I also believe that that's just how he naturally is, and he's a nice I don't want to say nice, but he's fun to be around. So I mean, we'll see how this goes with him and Sylvia. Um, Karen is worried that Fernando's family doesn't accept her daughter, then she doesn't think that she can continue the relationship with her, or a relationship with him. Um, she says that she's not she's ready to she doesn't know she's ready to say I do, and that she is pissed off at Irais because of the whole gift thing. I got my thoughts about that, and I'll get to it. But everyone, comes to all the couples still together or come together for a little, get together and a little party. And they're talking and laughing and all that when Irais and Renee come walking in. So this flows into episode 6 where um, Karen, Karen, now Karen, girl, if you don't quit, because she, doesn't hold anything back, and is wondering. She asked in front of everyone, um, "Why are you here?" Well, actually, no, she didn't say that first. Actually, let me take that back. Let me walk that back. She says it in her solo confessional that she's wondering like why they're there if they aren't really a couple. Um, and Fernando's also wondering, in his solo confessional, like if either he's is just there to stay on the show or if she has genuine feelings for Renee. So then, well, no, actually, again in another solo confessional, Karen says that they all know Renee wasn't her first choice. So Yurice and Renee explain after the reveal that they met up and decided to be together. Karen is confused because she never heard Yurice talk about Renee at all as an option, and that it was always Fernando. Then, in front of everyone, she says she is shocked that Yurice is here with Renee because it always seemed like she expressed her love for Fernando all the time. And I'm just like, girl, please, calm down. Please, I beg of you. Because this is not a good look. Like, I was on the road with you when you were talking to Saul in that pod, and he stated that you had a temper. I was gonna be like, well, you haven't seen her enough to say that you have a temper, because I mean that didn't seem like a temper to me. But at this point, this is a pattern. So I need you to calm down, please. It sounds like, to me, what Karen is upset about is that Fernando has Irace's gift. And maybe it's part of it. Part of it is that she did give him a gift because, maybe she feels threatened that, because they had a connection and he decided to keep the gift, that he would decide to up and leave her, Karen, for Irace eventually. But, I don't know. She still seems to be doing a whole lot on something that Fernando decided to keep. Because he didn't need to keep the gift. He didn't need to keep it. He decided he wanted to anyway. So, after everyone leaves, Karen, Fernando, Irace, and Renee stay behind. So Irace is telling Karen if there's something on her mind, just say it. So Karen is, saying, Karen is saying how, she doesn't like that Irace is saying one thing, but doing another, and but simultaneously also saying, I don't care about your relationship. Well, if you don't care, why are you saying something that doesn't make any sense? If you don't care, shut up, because it doesn't cost you anything to be quiet. So I'm with that. I'm with Irace on, because it literally costs you nothing to just shut up and be quiet. It does not. And then Karen finally says it what's on her mind. That she believes Iraís is here to fuck things up between her and Fernando and not actually be there for Renee because she wants an actual relationship with him. She's digging her own grave at this point. She really is. Um, again, we get Willie saying that he's scared to meet Francesca's parents, and he doesn't really know why. Just that he is. He meets her daughter, father, and mother, and I thought her daddy was her brother for a second. I was like, who? Wait, when they said that was her father, I was like, come again? Because I was, yeah. But, that was my bad. So Mila, Francesca's daughter, says that she was nervous about her mom leaving for 3 weeks because she wouldn't be able to speak to her, but she sees that her mom is happy. Willie's family is more conservative about the whole process than Francesca's family, so he thinks that it might not go well because he thinks his mom might be disengaged when they end up meeting. We go back to Gerardo and Fernanda because she is worried about where they're going to live. His life is in Monterey, which is sort of like northeast-ish, more towards the Mexico-Texas border. And Fernanda's life is in Mexico City. Fernanda is worried about moving to Monterey because there isn't enough parks there. I assume because of her dog and how she likes to let her dog play because he's more of the active type. So, yeah. Renee meets with Iraís's family. Iraís's mom, brother, and sisters. Her mom's like the more traditional family in that she found people falling in love with only hearing a person's voice as odd. But she and her Iraís's sisters seem to like Renee for the most part. So we'll see how that goes with them later on as the episodes progress. We do hear Karen say when she and Fernanda go to Sylvia and Chema's apartment that she would like to apologize to Renee in hopes that he accepts her apology. I'm gonna leave that alone. So one night, Fernanda is worried that Gerardo just when Gerardo just goes to bed without telling her goodbye, or sorry, not goodbye, good night, or I love you. The next morning, she explains that the night before they were heading in a direction that was rather intimate, and all of a sudden he just goes to sleep without saying anything. And to her, it felt like a slap in the face. Well, she didn't say that. I just kind of inserted it, but that's what it sounded like to me. He says, well, I don't always want to have sex, but for her, she does want to have sex a lot. She feels like he did a lot of things without considering her, but he rebuts saying, well, I consider you all the time because either I trying to I don't turn on on the TV, even though I love watching TV, and I know you don't like it. I consider you when I play my music, um, and stuff like that. Um, and he's feeling like, well, she has a lot of fears around abandonment. I'm gonna need to kind of explain that a little bit. Um, I'm not getting the connection between abandonment and what they're talking about, but you know, um, she says that, one time when I was looking for my headphones, he didn't even notice that she was trying to find her headphones. I'm like, well, did you tell him, well, I can't find my headphones? Can you help me find them? Because he's not a mind reader. What do you want him to do? Like, what exactly do you want him to do if he doesn't know that you're trying to find your headphones? Um, so she's tells him, if you want to see me mad, I will show you, and leaves the apartment with her dog. Um, Sylvia and Chema go to his apartment. She thinks that it looks like a rock star's place, and um, like it's a place to party. And it can't always be like that. I didn't get that. It just was like a bachelor pad to me, but hey. Um, and it's news to me that Chema smokes. He may have said it, but I don't remember him saying that. Um, so Chema's like, well, do you mind if we keep the bed? And he explained in his solo confessional that when he was single, he had a lot of women staying at his, like sleeping in his apartment. And I'm sitting there wondering, like, how many women are we talking about? Is it like 50 plus, 100 plus? Because if it's like 50 plus, or even if it's like 100 plus, or even like 50 plus, we're gonna have to burn that mattress because ain't no damn way. Um, so going back to Fernanda and Gerardo, she says he needed a timeout, and I'm thinking to myself, I know you're lying. He is not a toddler. He does not need to be put on timeout and be put on punishment because you didn't like something that he did. You need to talk that shit out because eventually people are not going to like you doing that stuff to them. So let's cut that out. Um, Fernanda's friends come to visit Kitsia, Nelly, and Jose Ramon. Um, they kind of, spill some tea about her, about how she is very opinionated, and they kind of, say, well, we've already figured it out today and everything. So, like I said, we'll see how he handles that from here on out because people are not going to like you just unilaterally doing stuff like that and then expecting and then just being okay with it. So, um, Fernando's mom meets Karen. She has mixed feelings about the whole experiment, but if he's happy, she is too. She explains that I'm not going to be the type that will interfere. I will make sure that there are boundaries up so that way I'm not overstepping into your relationship. Um, Karen tells Sylvia that she has a daughter um, and a good relationship with the father of her daughter and his new wife. So Sylvia feels like she asks Karen, what if your daughter doesn't like Fernando? And so Karen replies, well, I would have to leave in that instance as well because my priority is her. Um, And I was like, as you should. Um, Sylvia says her first impressions of Karen are that she's sweet, nice, and calm. Hmm. You might want to reserve that, but anyway, Willie meets Francesca's friends, Victoria, and Paul. Paul says at first glance they have good chemistry and a relationship, and a good relationship. And so Paul asks if he's ready to get married to Francesca or if he will lead her at the altar before the episode ends. So, yeah, some of these couples are, because I think the only ones that really haven't had much of a disagreement is Chema and Sylvia. We'll see if good vibes between them continue. Everyone else, I'm kind of like keeping my eye on because it just there are things that are red flags, whether they're little or big. So we'll see if they can figure out how to um, talk through them, or if they can't. I have not watched episodes 7 and 8 yet, but I will today, and then have it up later, no later than tomorrow morning. Um, and I have made an executive decision for Love Is Blind UK, because not enough people seem to be watching that one for me. So, as of right now, from what I last saw, there weren't even 20 people, um, for both of the videos combined, um, in views. So, to me, it doesn't make sense to review that show if not enough people are watching. Um, if you guys can, share with those videos with other people, and maybe get that viewership up, then I'll reconsider. But as of right now, I'm not going to dedicate time to making videos for them specifically. Um, I will do lives for them with like El Cid or on another channel if um, they happen to want to do lives for them. But um, as of right now, those videos are not going to be anymore, simply because, like I said, nobody's really watching them. It doesn't seem fruitful for me to spend time making videos for them if no one's going to watch, unfortunately. I mean, I will continue to watch, but as of right now, I'm not going to dedicate more of my time for something that doesn't seem fruitful. So, I will um, continue making the Mexico episodes, but the UK just gonna be kaput for now, unless something's changed. With that, I will see you guys another time.